Hello, my name is Donna Ivy-Bryant, and I've come today to share with you the history of Juneteenth. Juneteenth, a portmanteau or blend of June and 19th, refers to the Freedom Day or Emancipation Day celebrated by African Americans in the U.S., originally in Texas. It commemorates the announcement to the last of the African Americans held in bondage within the United States of the abolition of slavery and the emancipation of slaves on June 19, 1865. I know there's someone out there thinking, I thought the Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves in 1863. Well, yes and no. For many who are familiar with the Civil War in the United States, on September 22, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation was effective on January 1, 1863, as the nation approached its third year of bloody civil war. The proclamation declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are and henceforth shall be free. The Emancipation Proclamation was limited in many ways. It applied only to states that had withdrawn from the United States, leaving untouched the loyal border states. It also expressly exempted parts of the Confederacy, the Southern secessionist states that had already come under Northern control. Most important, the freedom it promised depended upon Union, the United States, military victory. And it allowed the Union to recruit African American soldiers. To this invitation to join the Army, the African Americans responded in considerable numbers, nearly 180,000 of them enlisting during the remainder of the war. On June 18, 1865, Major General Gordon Granger, leading 2,000 Federal troops, landed on the island of Galveston, Texas, for the following purpose: to inform residents that the Civil War had ended, with the Union being victorious, take possession of Texas, and enforce the freedom of those held in perpetual bondage. On June 19th, standing on the balcony of Ashton Villa, Major General Granger read aloud General Order Number 3. The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and free laborer. It must be emphasized that the arrival of General Granger and his troops was 2.5 years after President Lincoln had issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which had become official on January 1, 1863. There are several theories proposed to explain the delay in receipt of such critical news. While the accuracy of these theories is uncertain, the societal conditions in Texas illegally remained status quo. Upon learning of their emancipation, many former slaves rejoiced and celebrated. While some migrated north in search of family members and better opportunities, others remained in Texas. By 1866, many freed African Americans had organized and developed festivals throughout Texas to celebrate their freedom. African Americans' ability to participate in these celebrations was sometimes met with great resistance. However, many non-African Americans supported the festivities with food and money. As African Americans became landowners in Texas, they began to purchase land dedicated for the celebration of Juneteenth. In Houston, Reverend Jack Yates' fundraising efforts allowed for the purchase of a land tract which would be named Emancipation Park. Similar efforts occurred in Austin and Mexia, where its purchase of land named Booker T. Washington Park became the city's Juneteenth celebration site in 1898. By the early 1900s, the celebration of Juneteenth experienced a drastic social and economic decline, but by the 1950s and 1960s, the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power movement in the U.S. reinvigorated interest in Juneteenth celebrations. Through the activism of many, especially by African American State Representative Al Edwards, Democrat of Texas, Juneteenth became an official state holiday on January 1, 1980, making it the first emancipation celebration that was granted official state recognition. Juneteenth activities include barbecuing, fishing, and games. In some Texas festivals, rodeos are still held. Vital to the celebration of Juneteenth is its focus on education, self-improvement, and the importance of family and the community. Often speakers are brought in, elders recount the history of the past, and griots tell stories about Juneteenth. Additionally, spiritual prayers are a significant component of these festivities. Red foods became popular and are subsequently associated with Juneteenth celebrations, such as red velvet cake, strawberry soda pop, and barbecued meats. It's a matter of symbolism. The red represents the blood shed by innumerable African Americans in the struggle for freedom, a struggle that sadly endures. Food is in great abundance because everyone brings a dish, further emphasizing the sense of community. A true Juneteenth celebration provides participants with the opportunity to commune, converse, and be entertained until next year's celebration. Today, Juneteenth is enjoying a phenomenal growth rate within communities and organizations throughout the country. Aside from the numbers growing among local and national Juneteenth organizations, cultural institutions such as the Smithsonian Museum and the Henry Ford Museum and others have begun sponsoring Juneteenth-centered activities. In 2013, the U.S. Senate passed Senate Resolution 175, which included acknowledgement of the contributions of Ms. Lula Briggs Galloway, the late president of the National Association of Juneteenth Lineage, for her work to bring national attention to Juneteenth. As of May 2013, Juneteenth has been recognized as either a state holiday or a special day of observance in most of the United States. Additionally, celebrations taking place in other countries, including Barbados, China, Czech Republic, England, Germany, Ghana, Guam, Honduras, Italy, Japan, Korea, Kuwait, Nigeria, Puerto Rico, South Korea, and Spain. The worldwide recognition of these celebrations now provides a wonderful opportunity for the growth of greater understanding of, respect for, and appreciation of the true sentiment of Juneteenth, valuing the importance of freedom, building bonds of kinship, and strengthening human connection. On June 19, 2019, President Barack Obama's Juneteenth tweet honored the holiday's history. President Obama wrote, "Outside the Oval Office, I kept a painting of a small crowd huddled around a pocket watch, waiting for the moment the Emancipation Proclamation took effect. On Juneteenth, we celebrate the anniversary of that news, freedom, reaching slaves in Texas, and something more." In another tweet, he shared a photo of his 2015 recreation of the famous Selma March, the 1965 demonstration by Black civil rights protesters to demand their right to vote. In 2015, President Obama, along with his family and civil rights icons like Representative John Lewis, who was part of the original protest, recreated the march to commemorate its 50th anniversary. President Obama wrote, "On Juneteenth, we celebrate our capacity to make real the promise of our founding, that thing inside each of us that says America is not yet finished, that compels all of us to fight for justice and equality until this country we love more closely aligns with our highest ideals." To learn more about Juneteenth, visit your local eChicago library. Thank you for listening, and happy Juneteenth.